Fast and Furious. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular, or this is actually a committee of the whole meeting for January 4th, 2022. Can you believe it? Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining, even though it's a short list. Thank you. We have a decent sized agenda, so let's get moving. There's no amendments for the agenda, so can I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
I'll make that motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank
I
you,
will
Councillor.
second it.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Any questions?
No.
All in favor? Carry. Adopt the minutes from the regular meeting of December 14th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to adopt those minutes.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Burtis. Any questions or comments?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Cam or CAO Walkwood, please.
That was quick.
Moving along. It's cold out.
For sure.
Not much to report because I've been off pretty well the last 2 weeks like everybody else. So Christmas was cold, but the boys made it out due to the heavy snowfall. So our staff jumped out on Sunday and actually got the town cleaned up so that people could move around. We still haven't got substantial completion on the municipal services building. There was 3 issues with the heating system over the holidays. I was called in to reset the system 3 times. And so we're going to build that back to the general contractor through YG. And we have no submissions to the tender document for the change rooms at the rec center. So we're going to put it back out again and open the area. Originally, we had tried to stay local with the tender, and the local business or construction companies want to tender it. So we're going to reach out to Whitehorse to see if there's anybody of interest. Unfortunately, that might drive the costs up, but it's work that needs to be done. So, and we had HVAC tech down doing the mechanic up, looking at the Northern Lights Center, this building, and the rec center on our heating systems. And they got the majority of the Northern Lights Center up and running. There's still a bunch of follow-up stuff that they do with getting parts, but it's made a huge difference and stuff hasn't been touched there forever. There was even fans that were running backwards and no idea for why they were at it. But rec center, we've discovered that none of the rooftop air handlers are operating, and that's where about 75% of the heat for the building should be coming from, is through the rooftop handlers, through the air exchangers. So we're strictly been heating the building just off of the baseboard heaters, and there's issues with that. So that's the next thing they're going to be working on here in the new year. They're coming down they made a list of parts they needed and get at it. Unfortunately, it's going to cost us money, but it's something that's been 20 years of neglect that needs to be addressed. So it's nice to actually, we've been chasing companies since I've been here 4 years, 4+ years, trying to get somebody to come down to actually do that work and couldn't get anybody. And now we have these guys. And the condition that they came down was that we would actually implement. It wasn't that we were going to put a Band-Aid on stuff. We were actually going to fix it. Yeah. And that's what we said. We said, we're too far away from anybody and we need the stuff to fix so it's working properly, so it's efficient and cost saving. So that's moving ahead. We've had to extend, because of the municipal services building not being ready, we've had to extend the length of time that we're staying in our current rental space. I'm actually in my call with YG tomorrow. I'm going to bring forward that it's due to the fact that the building wasn't completed as per the contract on time, that now it's costing us more money in rental. So I'm going to throw that back on to the discussion to see if YG will go back after the contractors for those extra months rent we're going to be paying or incurring the debt for. So we're moving ahead on that. Forecast for the rest of this week is brutally cold. So our outdoor operations are going to be rather limited, but we're finding work to keep everybody gainfully employed. and things are getting back to normal operating hours, even though the restrictions due to COVID are tightened up again as of Friday. But I went through them today, and really it doesn't change anything that we have been doing at the rec center now, other than the fact that bringing capacity level back down to 25 people. We haven't had any gatherings that have really been over that anyways. So, and most, any of our renters have scaled back or stopped their events. So it's something that we need to take in consideration going forward with our O&M budget for next year, is the reduce of that revenue line coming in, because it definitely will have an impact on us. And unfortunately, we did receive the response from your worship's letter to YG, but they didn't answer the questions. They talked about vaccine clinics, and they didn't respond to any of the other stuff about the job issues or staffing shortages. They didn't respond to any of that. And the other thing they have not responded to, Minister Mawson has not responded to the letter your worship or member of parliament Hanley have not responded to your letter regarding funding for municipalities.
COVID funding.
Yeah, COVID funding for municipalities. So I see we have Michael on the phone, and it's something I was going to reach out to today before I got busy in those other calls, but was just to see if he could follow up to see where that is in Minister Mostyn's queue.
I think we have a meeting with Hanley as well, so.
Yes, we're supposed to have a meeting with them tomorrow, but I haven't heard confirmation back. So worship, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
And thanks, Michael. So other than that, we're working towards trying to get you capital budget, proposed capital budget, and a more refined O&M budget for your next meeting, because as you know, the town hall meeting's coming up on the 20th. So just a reminder too, on the 12th, you have a meeting with Yukon Housing at 6 p.m. The 14th, you have 14th in the evening at 6. You have your strategic planning session starting. And then all day on the 15th. 18th, you have a council meeting. 20th, you have the meeting, the town hall meeting. Okay. And then that is it.
Highways.
Highways, they're meeting on the 19th, and it'll probably be just with me, and then I will update council.
Okay, and then also Yukon Housing.
Yukon Housing's the 12th, and that's the meeting with you guys at 6. It's a Zoom meeting because of the COVID stuff. So it's up to you if you guys want to be in one room, or when I get the thing, we can do it from wherever. It's up, I'll leave it to your worship. Okay.
Yeah.
So those are the meetings for the month. I'm off the last week of January and probably partial week, the first week of February, if not the whole week. But Shannon will cover as acting CAO when I'm away. And I'll just see if I'm going to be gone for the first week of February, because there is a council meeting. But we will see where it goes. And then, yeah, we're into February. So I'd like to get those budget things on the table after the town hall meetings.
Strategic plan is in person?
Yes.
That was what time on the 14th?
6 p.m.
Here, right?
here. Yes.
And then 15th all day,
All day here.
here starting at 9?
I believe so. Yeah.
That's in that same room we were before?
Yes, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Upstairs. Okay. And I think that's it, because there's lots of things on the go, but today's the first day back, so
Town hall meeting at 6 o'clock?
PM, you have it booked for you.
You always normally have your meetings, right? At 6 o'clock all time?
Yes.
Okay.
Normally. We'll have to discuss that in council open forum, maybe a bit about the town hall meeting and what we kind of want to do because of the COVID restrictions. We can't really do a typical town hall meeting. So we'll bring that up again in the council open forum once we get through the rest of the day. Okay. All right. Thanks, CAO Lockwood. It's great. Welcome back. Here's to 2022. Motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $195,356.96.
Make that motion.
Thanks.
Second
Councilor
it.
Slager.
Few questions.
Need a second.
I'll second.
Counselor.
Oh,
Sorry.
Councilor Paquette. Okay, any questions, comments?
We have two checks to the recycling depot written on the same day, or is that on December 21st?
Yes, that is correct. They had a request in for bringing their petty cash up. And then the second one, there was two that overlapped there. And one was to bring the petty cash up to year end. So that's hence the check went out before the end of the month. That's why the two
Okay,
checks.
makes sense. And then I'm assuming the only $80 checks was in lieu of a Christmas party.
Yes, same as last year.
And then the $1,000 check at the bottom, not at the bottom, but
Lori?
60097.
That Lori?
Just-
Yeah.
97, yes. So that check, that was the outstanding fees for the contract to run Arts in the Park for the summer.
Oh, okay.
That was the outstanding payment. And Lauren has.
Lauren, you got a question?
And last one,
Sorry.
601.
One sec, Thomas, just 1 second, sorry.
Sorry, my question was just about there's two big payments to ATCO, like quite large. I was just wondering if that was more than 1 month or if that was because of the Christmas lights or what, if you could just.
Yeah, so there, what happened was there was some back billing from Atco and so that's what those are. There was an overlap period in between the two payments, and I believe yes, they're definitely 2 months worth of payments.
Okay, thank you.
For two different things.
It's a set plan engineering.
The check number.
Oh, sorry, 114, I guess.
So that one is for the engineering or the design stuff for the change rooms at the rec center.
Oh, okay.
Councilor Slager, you have one more question.
Just one, 60105.
601
105.
605. Colliers.
Yeah,
That is for their project management for all the projects they're running for us. So they ran the Northern Lights Center roofing project. They're doing the public waste drop-off stuff at the landfill. They're doing the lighting upgrades at the rec center. They're doing the change room project for us, and they're doing the Watson Lake Hotel remediation stuff for us.
okay, thank you.
Project manager, they're writing all their tender documents, all the specs. They're dealing with all the contractors.
Anything else?
None for me, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Hi.
All right, number 5, Recreation Center lighting upgrade. So again, this was from the Colliers, and we are doing an upgrade to LEDs, right? And there was 3 bids. Arkwright Northern with $497,560.71. Ben's Electric, $395,000. And Blair Sunby Electric for $295,000.
Make a motion to accept Blair Sunby's proposed bid
Of,
of 295,000. Sorry, let me get the exact number here.
that's plus GST, yep.
It's just here.
So. Yes, I make a motion to accept Blair Sunby's bid of $295,000 plus GST on the contract to redo the recreational center lighting upgrades.
Thank you, Councillor Slager.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Councillor Paquette. Any more questions, comments?
Your worship, so just as council may remember, our estimates from the consultant team had come in that project was going to be in the $500,000 range. So I was pleasantly surprised to see $295. I knew Sunby Electric said they were going to be aggressive on it because they want to establish their base back in Watson Lake. So being a Watson Lake business, they're going to be aggressive. So I'm glad to see that. And the difference in between them and the others, like Ben's Electric, $100,000 when you're looking at travel and staff time. Sunby figures it's maybe a 3 to 4 month job to do that. So it makes sense for the difference in the money there. Of that amount, $200,000 is covered under our energy upgrade project. And of the $95,000 above that, or anything above the $200,000 is covered 75% by YG under the energy solution. So really, for us to complete that project, which includes, there was a payable in there for about $5,000 as well for another company that was doing all the weather stripping for that building. And then there's project management fees and stuff, but I'm very happy that project for us from the municipality side is probably going to come in about maybe $40,000 in your capital that you're going to see. So that's significant upgrades, and we're going to see dividends just in the savings on our power bill, because I've told you in the past that in the wintertime, the rec center runs about $15,000 a month for power.
Wow.
In the summertime, $4,500 a month. So we should see significant changes in our bill, which will pay for itself.
But doesn't the majority of that power come from running the ice plant?
Yeah, well, that's the difference in between the jump from about 4,500 a month to 15,000.
Gotcha. I just didn't want our, like, the savings of running LED lights. The savings of, you know what I mean? Like, it's the ice plant that's the biggest jump between 4,500 and 15,000.
Exactly.
So whether you have LED lights, those LED lights might save you like $500 a month.
Yeah, or, well, probably more from what the consultants are telling us. Because everything we've got is the high pressure sodium lights in there, right? So the big ballast.
Is there any way we could get away with not running the artificial ice? I know it's with it being as cold as it is, I don't know, like.
Unfortunately, that's the trouble with that type of system. The minute you shut the plant off, then it really causes havoc in the building. Because it's a balancing act, because you want to keep it not really cold, you want to keep it
Yeah.
right? So it's a tough thing to do. There is suggestions from the consultants about some upgrades to the lighting, to the ice plant system as well. I've been back and forth with Simcoe. I'm not convinced yet that there's enough bang for the buck in doing the upgrades to our plant for the amount of money it's going to cost to do it. I don't think the savings are there. Energy Solutions is willing to cover 75% of that, but still having the talk with Simcoe, I'm not convinced yet, but it's something that's still on the table.
Be interesting to see some actual figures.
Well, that's
from
the
both
trouble,
sides.
is trying to get those
Actual.
numbers, right? Especially on the ice plant.
All in favor of Blair's or Councillor Slager's motion?
Aye.
Carried.
Aye.
Okay. We're gonna just keep moving along. Administration report, assessment report. So this, you want to address this, Cam?
Yes, I will, your worship. And sorry, just timing wise, I didn't get to a full admin report on this, but council had asked for options, for incentive options to do with vacant property or undeveloped property. So myself and Shannon have looked into different communities and different rate structures in other communities. So this proposal is based off of the city of Dawson. And where currently our minimum tax rate for vacant land or basic tax rate is $600 a year. Dawson City for residential is $800 a year for residential, $1,100 a year for commercial. So this is a proposal that shows the difference the increase that we would see to our tax revenue by increasing residential to 800, it would be approximately $18,050 extra income to the municipality. Occupied commercial, which is just meeting the minimum assessed property assessment values, would bring in at $1,100 a year, would bring in an extra $14,237, and vacant commercial would bring in an extra $13,000, roughly $500. So it's approximately $46,000 extra in revenue to the municipality, and administration believes that that would maybe convince these vacant property owners to either develop them or sell them or do something. And if they don't want to do that, then the onus is on them to pay the extra taxes. So like I said, it brings in about $46,000, which is huge. And that's roughly the amount that we're forecasting for deficit in the provisional budget this year. So, but that doesn't mean that other taxing options shouldn't be looked at going forward as well. This is just the incentive to get these properties developed.
So residential occupied 800, and then the ones that aren't occupied, did you comment on that, sir?
So the unoccupied is 800,
Oh, okay.
and ones that do not meet the minimum assessed value would be jumped up to the 800 as well.
Okay.
So there might be some trailers or some low income houses in the community that are assessed at below the value. So then their tax rate would come up. And in those spreadsheets that I sent in your packages there, it actually shows the properties and how much difference it would make on what properties.
Yeah.
Some properties, it's only $30 a month.
That's right.
Some is 200, but so each one varies a little bit. But at least there is the breakdown there that shows the differences.
So you're just proposing a different seat, like big seat.
Yeah,
like a base.
Different base rate.
Yeah, that's right.
600 we're at now.
Not that I'm not in favor of going ahead with this and at those numbers, just not as fast, because under that, you're going from 33% increase in the one, and the other one is almost 100% increase as your bare minimum, because you go from 600 to 1,100. So could I propose that we go from, say, because right now, okay, residential is that a minimum is 600. And I agree that we want to have people moving ahead on this. Can we go so that's not such a big shock? Or maybe that's what you're looking for, I don't know. Go like 600 to 700 to 800, like 1 year go to 700, next year go to 8. And likewise with the commercial, because it's a $500 increase from 6 to 1,100, go from 600 to 850 to 1,100 over a course of 2 years, because going from 600 to 1,100 is quite the jump.
My comments to that would only be that the situation we're in with the lack of land and the availability of empty lots and people that have been using those lots for nothing for an extended period of time.
I got you.
And if there's not something drastic, then there's nothing. So if you constantly are, easing into it, it's not showing a dramatic need or, a change that has to happen. We're trying to incentivize, we're trying to extend, we're really trying to establish how we feel things need to go. We want to emphasize the change. We don't want to just say, oh, we're thinking about it. We want it to be like, it's changing. We need land. We need you to do something with it. So that's my comments.
I agree.
It'll be up to council to make that decision.
Yeah.
So
I get you. Like I said, I'm not against the development of land. It's just a shocker. And like I said, if that's what the effect that we're looking for, then I think you'll get it.
Yeah, and your worship, this was just a proposal, so it's up to council. It's just on here for discussion
Mhm.
because council had asked for something to be
Mhm.
presented. So that's
Gotcha.
how we researched it and based it off of Dawson City for now.
Yeah, I see that. I also looked at like Like I know that we. If, you know, it just, it looks, the optics of it, being, okay, we're short 38,000, we've just come up with this plan here. That only affects some, not all, like if you had like a combination, like a percentage rate increase that affected everyone, and then you also went up a little bit, you'd still meet your goal, I think.
Well, and your worship, we didn't do it based on the deficit thing. It was just ironic how that when the numbers came out, how they were very close to being the same.
Gotcha. That's why I said the optics of it.
Yeah, no, and that's why administration has proposed to council that you actually do a tax increase this year as well, because we have fallen behind.
Gotcha.
And I do agree with Chris, what you're saying, and I agree, Cam, as well. It's sort of like use it or do something with it. You know what I mean? Like either develop it or do something with it.
Sell it to,
And
for
I
somebody to
think,
do something. with
and I
it.
think you're right. Like if I've heard people say, well, I pay $500 in taxes, why do I need to do anything with it? You know, and that's lakefront property people have, then they're paying next to nothing on it, right? And it's, you know, and there's a lot of that land that you drive around that's not developed at all. And we don't have any vacant lots. So use what we have, capitalize on what we have that's available that people just aren't developing.
Just using it as like a motivation tool, right? Like motivate people to do something with it. Like if they don't want to pay it. Like,
And that,
Some people don't even live here that have land and they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been that people haven't offered to buy it. People are just not feeling that there is any incentive for them to do anything with it.
Right.
They just hang on to it.
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yep, and we're in a place where we need land. We need stuff to happen. We need people to put some pressure. We need people to be creative with what they have. And if you don't want it, then sell it.
And some of these lots are already serviced, so it's not even, that's
Yeah.
not even an issue. You just have to basically put a trailer, put a
Anything.
house on it, whatever.
There's people that want to, there is people that want to do things with land. And if you're an owner, then you're not doing anything with it, then there should be some incentive to create something. And I think it has to be somewhat drastic,
I think so.
because otherwise it is, you know, I understand where Thomas is coming from. I get it. But I think at the same point, if we kind of ease into it, people will just be like, oh, okay, another $100, oh, another $100. And it's not really going to affect them. Whereas if it's a substantial change, it brings to light the situation. And I think it's nothing to do with, we've asked for this for a period of time now. We've asked for it for quite some time to have some sort of increase on that empty lots. Like I think in our previous Councilor Labonte brought up several times about the empty lot tax and how people are sitting on that property, not doing anything with it. Let's make something happen there. So just back to your taxes comment, like, yeah, it does kind of, it's ironic that it falls into that amount, but it's not the reasoning for it. So.
Councillor Hanchard's got her.
Councillor Hanchard, you got a comment?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add that I appreciate where Councillor Slager is coming from, but I do agree with Mayor Irvin. I also was wondering if this is not something that we can discuss at the town hall meeting, assuming that's going ahead.
Yep. Yes, and yes, we will. This is a great topic. I think it falls in line with our budgetary situation. We can throw this in there with it and it can be a point of discussion. But it is just for information at this point, so it's good to mull it over. And if you do have some concerns with it, then let's bring it ahead again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I do like about it, it's not just targeting non-residential, it's like vacant commercial as well. And it's not just one sector that's being, I want to say targeted, it's all lots, not just a few. So in that case, in that way, I'm more inclined to agree with it than in past things. Anyway, that's all.
Another thing that we don't really account for is any industrial situation. We have industrial lots that are not used properly, you know, that are are being used as residential instead of what they're intended for. So, you know, another thing might be to be creative in trying to find proper use for those industrial lots.
What line or where would I find, because I think I've asked this before, like when we have like land set aside or something like that, or undeveloped lots, or they're like spoken for,
Yeah.
does INAC pick up the bill for that?
Yes. They would be either under, I'll go back to the residential here, and in there,
Oh, I see it now.
there should be a whole section under Government of Canada.
INAC, okay, gotcha, I was just wondering if that was where it was located.
And that's where it's really sort of tainted, is because those taxes come under a big envelope. So their tax value, their property assessment value is $8 million. So there's only 3 properties that this would affect in the residential side. The
Gotcha.
rest are all captured under that. Yukon Housing's properties, all majority all aren't affected by it. So, you know, and there's very few residential ones that are really.
That are big, like that have people living there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, if you look at the Teslans, the Morleys, those are sort of areas that will be affected because a lot of those properties are valued so low. Right? They don't meet the threshold. They're only in that $30,000 range, right? So.
All right, well, I think that's lots of discussion. We'll bring it back again. And yes, I think we will bring it to the town hall meeting, just so people can see what our goal is there, and we can have that discussion. So it's clear. All right, number 7, TD1 tax lien summary. Council or CAO Lockwood. Can you,
Yes.
give us.
So this is a regulatory, under the Tax Lien Act. We have to, before January 15th, come up with a published list of people that are properties that didn't pay their 2020 taxes, because by the 15th, if they're not paid up, they have to be advertised in the Yukon News. It's a requirement under the act. So the list that you have in front of you is the list that is currently outstanding as of today.
Are there any in here that we could kind of just, before we publish it, say, hey, did you forget?
We've reached out to them.
Okay,
numerous times. And as of 4:30, there's only one of them that has responded to us and said that they will be in tomorrow. But as of tonight, the name stays on the list because of the fact that if they don't show up tomorrow, because they've been telling us that for months, if they don't show up tomorrow, then their name gets published because we can't not put it on and then.
Oh, so
Yeah.
tomorrow's the cutoff for it to
Well-
get to.
No, well, we make a motion.
We got to the 15th, but I need you guys to have a motion on it before.
Oh, okay,
then.
I see.
So, but what goes to the paper will be where we have to put it in by tomorrow to get it published in the.
Yeah, so it'll be in the paper even if they pay up by the 15th.
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
right.
that's what I mean, like, so.
Unfortunately, we've given
No, that's right. No,
We've
exactly.
given them months to pay and numerous follow-up letters, and they just haven't.
See, Lockwood, how does that work with people who are deceased? Do we know who the executors are, or how do we
It
find?
all goes by land titles.
Okay,
So whatever's on the title is what we legally have to do. And if we know there's an executor of an estate, then we reach out to them. But, yes, so all of these ones, the one on there, yes, we've been in touch with the executor. So,
3 that have passed away on here.
yeah, but those executors have all been spoken to,
Oh, okay.
every one of them.
okay, that's all.
So
We need a
Your Worship,
motion
we would need a motion.
Motion to accept the list, or approve the list. As
I'll motion to accept the list of
TD1 tax. And
TD1 tax lien summary.
thank you, Councillor Burtis.
Second that.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Any more questions or comments? All in
So
favor?
it's just, sorry, one second, just because, like, some of them are so low, does that mean like they paid some of their taxes and then just like stopped?
No, some of them it's well, this is just the 2020 taxes they haven't paid, so, and it's based on the assessed value of their property.
Like this the Casca one, I'm just wondering, like it's like $300.
And that's just,
Just the piece of properties.
that's their penalty for the year.
Oh, okay.
Why are the interests all different?
It's all calculated on.
How much they owe?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, I see. So they like, just for instance, with that one, like they don't owe taxes, but they owe the penalty.
Penalty.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. No, that's it.
oh, it's just the penalty that. they
Yeah,
owe
just
for
certain
not
ones, like,
paying their
They
taxes.
paid their tax, but they owe a penalty.
They paid it late.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Carrie, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, unfortunately, we have to follow the act.
Yes.
So hence the reason that it's presented that way.
No, that's it.
And that just the 2020 taxes, it doesn't include everything previous to that.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like this list is much shorter than it's been in the past and that,
yes.
That's good.
and that there's quite a few previous where there was, $300, $200, $150 tax, that got carried over and had to be published.
Yeah.
Which we found unfortunate because it's not like they weren't paying their bills, but it was, so this list is actually pretty well sorted and I think it's.
So anybody that owes though back taxes, they like, or are they gonna be public, like, say if somebody isn't paid in for 2019?
That list was published last.
That's right, but you don't add that to
This
this,
is.
if they haven't, okay, I just.
The requirement of the tax lien act is that we post it once. And then everything else is followed up through different processes through the tax lien act. So there's different letters and different forms that we must submit on a set schedule.
Okay,
So I can tell you, like currently right now, in the final acts of the tax lien process right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 properties that we're pursuing
and is that where we take over
eventually.
eventually? If they don't
Yeah.
apply?
And right now we have 1, 2, 3. Out of those ones, we have, we've got agreements with one client, they're actually making payments, trying to stay away from there. Another one made a large payment in 2021, but the rest of the debt, so we can't proceed now until April 2022 on it. We have 2 that we will proceed for title here in January. And then we have 1 that, which the former council will remember as the Ace Asphalt property, which we do not want the title of because of the environmental contamination on the site. So we've made a complaint to Environment to have them investigate it and do something on it. So we are sitting with the document that says we can apply for title. But the minute we do that, then we
Then
assume
we,
Yeah,
like
responsibility of the cleanup or
So
whatever,
that's
yeah.
hence the reason that we've held off on that until we want the environmental stuff looked after before it becomes property.
Okay.
So.
So there's a big process, like there's like 4 or 5 steps to get to the point where
It's a
you,
huge process. It's
Yeah.
kind of a painstaking process.
There's actually 5 steps to it and it takes approximately 2 years.
It's a lot of time, money.
encouraging people to pay their taxes.
Exactly, and that's what we do, is we've gone into payment agreements
Yeah,
with people, give us a posted a check for the next 12 months of this dollar amount.
yeah,
And if you breach the agreement, then we proceed with the tax.
yeah, that's right. Okay, okay.
no, that's good. I mean, it looks like you guys are working with people to try and get them to keep their property and pay
Yeah.
their taxes.
So this has gotten
That's a lot of things
significantly
people want, right?
smaller
And we've done this.
since they became like, oh, they're serious.
No.
No, yeah, they used to have
Yeah.
like a really long list and now it is like.
I remember that,
significantly
Since
actually.
we started actually taking properties, people have really stood up and taken notice. But we've ate some big ones, right? Like the Campbell Block, the Lakeview Apartments, those are major ones. Some of the smaller ones, like they're trailer lots.
Yeah,
There's the commercial lot on Canyon Boulevard that we sold. The other ones we sold. But there's gonna be a couple residential ones coming up that should, they're gonna need some cleanup work, but they're decent properties.
so when we take it over, we have to pay for the cleanup and stuff, or like, do we just try to sell it as is?
Well, we
Depends.
we try to get them sold the way they are, but if they're in bad enough state, then we do the cleanup and then that our
Adds
cleanup
to-
goes to the sale price. and we advertise them for our costs.
Yeah, like.
Which includes
So-
lawyers. and-
Yeah, that's right. So it's not like at market value, say it only costs you $150,000, that's what you're gonna sell for, it's $150,000.
And some of them, we won't get bids that even meet the minimum, so it makes it really tough, but it's the decision that council makes.
Okay, okay.
Oh, I see. So you have a reserve bid.
Yeah.
And then if people go below that, then it's up to council then to decide if they're actually gonna sell it for that amount.
Depending on what it is
That's right.
and what they're gonna do, or,
That's right.
or maybe it's a.
So example of that would have been the Lakeview Apartments, right?
Yeah.
Because, there was $100 and some thousand outstanding on that property. But council made the decision to transfer title to the Yukon Housing Corporation for $1 because they knew they were gonna assume the cleanup of the site
And,
and develop it again, which is a guarantee.
instead of us doing that cleanup, because that was.
And then being stuck with the land and trying to do something with
That's
it,
right.
and then it'd be a
Okay.
huge cost.
No, huge, okay.
I was actually gonna say it was a huge, we got lucky with that one. That's similar to Ace Asphalt, where we were gonna get stuck with the bill. And if we assumed title right away, then we would have to deal with that. And we got lucky here because Yukon Housing wanted to build something and needed the space. So we got lucky.
Yeah.
But it won't be the same route as Ace Asphalt because it's out there in the middle of nowhere and who knows what that kind of mess is. It's not pretty. So,
Okay,
good.
yep, clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Counselor Slater.
Okay.
Okay, we did all in favor. That's all done. Moving on. Number 8, the report, which I have in front of me, for fleet pickup capital purchase. Purpose to submit tender proposals to council for review and approval. Recommended approval, approve the proposal submitted by Whitehorse Motors for 2 pickups. Approve the proposal submitted by Whitehorse Motors for 1 pickup. Not approve either proposal. The financial implications, recommendation, one will cost.
Recommendation 1.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, when I first read that too, I thought it was
I know, it's like,
nothing but the best. It's hard.
If you look at the date of the report, it was when I was trying to wrap up before Christmas.
Okay. Anyways, 2 vehicles from Whitehorse Motors for $114,000 and $37.98.
Where do we sit with last year's capital budget? Like is there, do we still have money earmarked for this in that budget?
And that's included in the documents there, Councillor Slager.
Yeah.
We have budgeted $120,000 in last year's budget and we haven't spent anything out of that.
Okay, so that, well, yeah, so I was kind of wondering like where we sat like with other things that like other whoopses that happened that may have cost us money that we fixed that came out of somewhere, right?
Capital money has not been played with
Right.
because of the fact that that money is an approved budget for that spending line.
Mhm.
2 things. First, I was looking at like the replacement plan and the 2 vehicles every year for 7 years. Well, it must be nice. I think we'll do our best to try to update our fleet, but we have like some vehicles from 1993 and 1994. There's some other things that I was reading in there as well. Running boards, which I thought was a nice stretch on safety, but I'm in favor of getting the 2 trucks for this year. I'll just go with it. I'm in favor. I'm going to make a motion that we approve option 1 being buy the 2 vehicles or the 2 pickups for the combined price of $114,000.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. I would just like to comment too, that this is our own funds. We didn't get funding for this, right? So, vehicles are a tough spend. They're not an investment. They're not capital. They're straight up cost in the municipality. So we have to be, a replacement annually is definitely a stretch. I would be there with you, Councillor Slager. So, but I understand the need. There's just got to be some balance there. So that's just a comment that I would like to make. So with that said,
Yeah, this year we have it there, so therefore,
yes, yeah. Any more questions or comments?
I think it was a good price when I looked at it. I mean, 56, right, or something like that.
Depends when we get them though, too. I mean,
The delivery period could be up to 6 months.
Yeah.
But it was timing's everything, and White Horse Motors were the only ones that would bid on it. The other dealerships said that there's such a market right now for vehicles that they aren't gonna play like that.
fair enough.
And that's the price. Doesn't matter when we get it, that's the price.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Contract.
It's a tough time to buy vehicles, really, but
It is for sure a tough time.
But I was pleasantly surprised because we originally thought it was gonna be really close to the 120 and it came at 114, so.
what are these vehicles earmarked for?
We're gonna juggle fleet around like we have done with the other vehicles when we got them, so the poor vehicles, the vehicles that they replace will get shifted to other departments to replace, we don't, the 1989 truck or whatever we have left in the fleet.
And then we sell those, right?
We have been selling the
Yeah.
production, right? So other than the fact that the fire chief's truck, which is a 2016, and it was bought secondhand. And then the 2017 Dodge truck, which is over at Water Utilities, which your worship might remember was a real issue I dealt with when I first started because it wasn't procured under town's policies.
Yeah.
So other than that, our newest vehicle is 11 years old. So those things that, after 10 or 11 years of running 5 days a week, they get lots of hours on them. So those are things that we have to look. So what's gonna happen is that we're gonna bounce probably one of the 2011s will go down to replace a 2000, that type of thing. We're gonna shuffle them down the fleet. So
2000 Chev, that's a 21-year-old truck.
Yeah.
Some good mileage. Okay, I need an all in favor. Carried. Thank you for the report. Seal from administration. Yeah, moving right along. The draft cemetery bylaw. It is a draft. So I don't know if you want a motion from us today or not, or if we can open it for discussion.
the
So,
reason, your worship, the reason it's on there is because Councillor Slager had it tabled back in August, I believe. It was
Okay.
tabled to come forward in January with the new council, and it is an item that was to be discussed at the town hall meeting.
Right.
So hence that's why it's back on here for you guys to take another look at and then have for discussion at the town hall.
to be public, it needs to be motioned.
There needs to be a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. Thank you, Councillor Burtis.
Sorry.
Any questions or comments?
About
Yes,
the bylaw?
yes. Now's the time.
I'm trying to find them. I had them highlighted, but it didn't save.
Well, there was something in here that,
So there was a bylaw before though, right?
There is currently a bylaw, yes.
Yes.
And it was, yes, and I apologize that it was presented to council, the former council, and it
Yeah.
hasn't come to you,
No,
new councilors. So
I just wanted to see what the difference sort of
I'll
was.
send it and you'll see significant.
Yeah, okay.
differences.
Yeah.
It was old. It
Couple things I'd like
was
to
very
see
dated.
scrapped completely.
so much.
Under 612, section J, where it says, allow a child or children under the age of 16 years within the limits of the cemetery that is not accompanied by a parent, guardian, or adult supervisor. Well, I guess it depends how far, but I mean, like, I think, say I'm a 13, 14-year-old kid, I ride my bike out to Lucky Lake, I can't pop in and visit grandpa on my way back. Like, that seems a little, you know what I mean? I don't like that. The other part I don't like is the no open flame candle or burning under 6.6. No open flame candle or burning of any substance or other material may take place inside the cemetery without prior written authorization given by the clerk, and if permitted, shall be conducted under the direct supervision of the town. If you're sitting there and saying you had like some sort of like sweetgrass ceremony or tobacco or what have you as a like more of a religious type thing, then you're not allowed to, like, I think that's to me, it's just like it reeks of like a Jim Crow law. I don't want to
Well, the only concern I think would be is if like fire, like if the town doesn't know somebody's burning something out there and they leave it burning out there and then burns down the cemetery in Lucky Lake.
But they have an actual fire pit in the cemetery drawing place to have like,
But what about by the graves, like the candles and like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's more to what they're saying is by like the candles by like a grave site just left and see you later.
we can burn down the headstone.
Well, you'll burn down the grass that burns down Lucky Lake, that burns down. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I
It's a
think,
big bush there.
no, I'm thinking more about like the religious aspect of it
Yeah.
than that. There was another part in there, the,
Could stipulate religious function.
Yeah, or
You
something.
could stipulate religious function in 6.6.
yeah, or like, doesn't have to be supervised by the town though, like, it's like,
I don't think supervised is a good thing, no, like, but like, I think it's just like burning at your house, like, you have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, people aware that it's happening, just in case something does happen. Like, I understand what you mean, I mean, like, I think if it's just worded a little bit differently, where you're not having open flame just randomly.
and then, yeah, not
Like,
here.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I understand if you're using the fire pit or whatnot, like, that should be fine, like.
Yeah,
There's no reason it shouldn't be, but by having it say just by the headstone, I don't know, I've never been there, I don't know what it looks like, I don't know if there's much grass up there. But I just think that if you have a candle by a tombstone and then it falls over or it burns grass and then burns bush and.
gotcha, I already done that. There's other things too, like the floral tributes. You're only, from May 15th to September 15th, only fresh cut flowers may be placed on a grave, not plastic ones. And only in a location on the grave approved by the town. Potted plants, wreaths, and floral tributes on easels and artificial floral tributes of any time are prohibited during this period. So you're only allowed to put plastic flowers on in the winter, but not in the summertime.
I don't understand that.
Oh, yeah, me either. That's why I'm bringing this up. And furthermore, you're only allowed to put them in certain places. No glass vases. I am okay with that because they could fall over and break as well. And you don't want glass, people get cut. But like, they have like, you're only allowed this type of flower from this type, I think that's just, I don't know, I don't like it. I don't know what would be better other than the fact of just like get rid of 6.4 altogether. I understand you're wanting to keep the cemetery clean and you don't want to have people, you know, just throwing random flowers there or plastic flowers. But I mean, like, you know, if you're putting in something, a tribute to a loved one, like, I don't know, you're not gonna just throw ugly stuff there and just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
There has to, yeah, it's a tough one.
Who
Well, it's not
actually
tough, but I mean, just needs cool.
paints the cemetery?
We do. And your worship, and that's, if you go out there and look at what's been left, there's everything from old running shoes to hats to pickaxes to plastic flowers that have disintegrated and they're blowing around the cemetery. There's a lot of issues to deal with that and a lot of cleanup. And we have one gentleman in the community, a senior, that goes out there and actually he stops and picks up gloves and garbage bags from us. And he actually goes out there and that's part of his exercise and charity or community service. He goes out and actually does a bunch of cleaning out there. But it does create a lot of work for our staff.
And because of the new design and the way things are going to be laid out, it's going to add, you know, clutter because we're trying to tighten things up with new
Well,
plots.
can we have something that's like, you know, if it looks good, keep it. If it's unsightly, old, tarnished, ripped and rubbish, then get rid of it, right? And then, oh, there's another thing in here that says, if the town has sold you a plot and you're over 90 years old, the town can take it back. So I'm thinking of like the Caustics who have a paid town plot because they're longtime residents and Lloyd and Ev are not getting any younger. Like according to this bylaw, we get to be like, we need it more than you do. We're gonna take this because you're 90, right? Like, that's silly. I realized the reason for that is that somebody bought a plot a long time ago, moved, forgot about it. I realized why that's there, but there should be something in there that's just like, if the person is still alive, you can't take it from them. You know what I mean? Like,
And they're local.
yeah, and they're local, right? So I know that we wouldn't do that, but
I read that one twice. I read that one a couple of times. Just like, what? Yeah.
so I'd like to see something in there that's just like, I don't know, that addresses that concern.
So there's a new design you were talking about? Okay, so that's not included in this, so I haven't seen it, but I often wonder why people are buried the way they are buried out there. It just seems like plot after plot after plot after plot, like, whereas in some areas, it looks like way back in the day, they had family plots, but it's not so much like that now.
Yep.
So it just, and I'm assuming that they can't be fairly close together because everything's sort of sloughs, right? Is that because of our sandy soil?
You'll have to see what the new layout looks like, because it's a lot different. There is family plots. There are, oh, help me with my words here. Not casket plots, like,
Cremation.
thank you. Cremation plots. There are, there's walkways, sidewalks, there's added plots and spaces. There's a ceremonial site there. You'll have to see. I think Cam's gonna send it to you here right away.
I'm gonna put it,
But there is quite a few changes that will make it quite a lot more attractive.
Yeah.
And I do believe we have to probably set some guidelines to where and what can be put in there. I know it's tough, but I think overall, if people can appreciate what the goal is there, that, you know, it'll look a lot better overall if we can maintain that without having to spend a whole bunch of time picking up stuff all the time. You know, like, it should be a little less maintenance is, I think, the goal, because it costs us a lot of money as it is. And obviously there's a lot of times we don't make any money on it because of the situation or whatever it might be. So, but it's all within that bylaw. So it's a tough one. I see where you're coming from, Thomas, but yeah, that's why this bylaw we considered taking to the town hall, because there is so many sensitive aspects to it, you know,
To get some feedback.
to get some feedback on how people want to proceed and how we should set this up, because, you know, it's not, everybody's got a different way of dealing with stuff, and we don't want to say you can't do that, because that will really upset people, right? So it's a sensitive thing.
Absolutely.
I have a quick question.
Of course.
It was just about the fees, and I was just wondering if administration is good with the fees that are proposed in this draft. Are those fees going to cover the perpetual care of, you know, the proposed design or whatever?
administration actually wants to take another look at it now that, as it moves forward before final reading, because those fees should be in the fees and charges bylaw and not included in this bylaw.
But the amount is
Yes,
fine?
well, no, that's
Okay,
what, I want to review them and then actually give a better feedback, because it shouldn't be contained in this, it should be contained in the fees and charges bylaw.
okay. And I agree that we should discuss this at the town hall meeting.
Yeah, the fees seem really low to me. I feel like it costs a lot more for the town to have a lot of staff and equipment going out there.
Yes, Your Worship, we are notoriously using money off of cemetery.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the taxpayers that have paid for this. It's, you know, it's their dollars that we're using to help take care of the situation. But going forward, you know, we gotta make sure that it's, you know, we
Well, we
should
should,
losing our shirt on it.
it would be nice just to see how much it actually does cost and then
I know it's
see
tough.
what our
I
fees
know.
are like. And
We're not losing our
compare
shirt.
your fees
I know.
with,
I know.
I guess, like Dawson or other municipalities, just to see if we're in line with.
Yeah, and the new fees are based on other communities, I believe, and I've I have put in your council meeting folder for tonight. I've put in the executive summary from the consultant. And I've also put in there the concept for the cemetery design in there for your review later on.
Is that an email?
No,
It's in
it's,
that folder.
it's in the folder.
There's these few documents I put in there at the bottom
Yeah, you
under
got
cemetery.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
Might have to refresh it.
yeah,
So we will ask for some work around that. What number was that, Thomas? Number 6?
What, the flower thing?
Yeah,
6.14 or something?
yeah. Well, that's for some work around that. And
I actually reread the age thing and it says like all of the following had occurred. I read that wrong, so I thought it was like, if one of the following, so it's like have to be, somebody's would be perceived to be over 90,
do there.
bought the plot 50 years ago. There's other conditions, so it's not as,
there's some more conditions to be.
yeah, it's not just the one, that's actually, my reading here.
713, I think, in here.
So Brian, like, do you pay every year for, it's a one-time fee? So there's no upkeep fee or nothing like that? Like, I'm pretty sure my dad pays for Teresa, like, down south every year to upkeep a certain
Plot.
quality.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I was wondering if there was like any,
Probably a private cemetery.
I think so, I'm pretty sure it is, I wasn't sure, I don't know how it's run, so.
When you read the fees and charges, it talks about
Perpetuum.
yes, for ongoing.
Okay.
coverage.
Okay,
I'm sure there's grass there too, not just sand.
yeah, no, for sure, I was just wondering like if there's like fees or costs involved in upkeep,
Mhm.
or anything.
Any more questions or comments?
I don't know how other people feel about this, but I'm not saying that people want to have big parties there, but like, I don't know. But one day when I'm buried somewhere, that somebody will come along and have a beer with me every now and then. That's just me though.
Well, your worship, it's based, yeah, and now that I think about it, this is based off of White Horse's Green Mountain, I believe. And having lived and worked in other communities, I do know that some of the teenagers view the cemetery as being a place to party, where they figure.
Yeah,
It's, yes.
it's close enough.
Yeah,
Lucky Lake that it probably wouldn't be a problem, really.
yeah,
So set that guideline and then who's gonna enforce it?
sure, fair enough. I know, but don't have it if you're not gonna enforce it though.
Well, that too, I guess.
Well, I guess we need the ability to enforce it if it does become an issue, though.
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
He just said.
Any more questions or comments?
The only thing that I think about it is like 21 pages long, and I think it could be put into sections, like, you're being cremated, so that's the cremation bylaw, and then there, which is a part of that, but they're in sections as opposed to this one big 21-page.
I think that's just any bylaw though.
I don't think you can get away from that though, because you have to be so clear
You have to identify.
that it's.
So that's fine, but I'm just saying you can still be clear and have, you're being cremated, let's put out, that part of that section of the bylaw is on its own, do you know what I mean? As opposed to this 21-page. Anyway, that's.
I mean, 21 pages, whether you put it in two sections, 110 pages, 111.
Well, no, but I mean, there's other parts here that you could take that section off as well, so it's not just one big chunk, right? So it's, so that's where I'm coming from. I just think it repeats itself a lot within the document, and I feel like some of that, then it should be sectioned off into its own little, that's just me.
Okay, I think it's all you know. God's forget.
There could be some organizational thought to it.
Yeah, in that respect, as opposed to this one massive 21-page bylaw. That's all, just like subsections can be within their own bylaw, within the burial bylaw, right? You know what I mean?
In all fairness, I mean, bylaws are tough.
A really hard read
Yeah.
for all of this, I have to say, and my computer was not behaving very well, so it was like, I was falling asleep, so
Yeah,
just saying.
It's a tough read.
It is.
Okay.
It's not an easy read, and I think it would be much easier if it was sectioned off into smaller chunks. That's all I'm saying.
Point taken. Very good. Very good. I mean, someone did this professionally. If we took that back to them and said, is there any way we can clean her up,
Just like that.
tighten her up?
Little wink.
I know. Yeah. And
And then I could read it and digest it a little bit better, because like I'm just reading it. I'm not even thinking like analytically like you are, Thomas. I'm just trying to get through this document. That's what I'm trying to do, right? So anyway, that's just me.
and yeah, it's not.
Well, let's take it to the town hall and see what people have to say about it, and then we'll.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure.
It's not really meant for a sit down read in the afternoon. So
No, after you've traveled.
it's not really built.
Trying to get through this, and I'm like,
It's informational. So yeah. Okay, good. We do need a motion for the draft cemetery bylaw.
Make a motion to bring the draft cemetery bylaw to the town hall.
Oh, sorry, we did a motion. Never mind.
No, that would have been, oh yeah.
Did we?
Good.
almost like the draft bylaw.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Okay, it's fixed.
Okay, awesome. It's fixed. You need to leave.
Okay, we don't have any correspondence today. And we'll go to council open forum. Any more questions?
I kind of had a weird epiphany, and I know this can sound a little bit crazy, but sometimes the simplest solution is like the best one. So with the roof of the rec center, the $10 million price tag, you know, for redoing electrical, we're doing redoing changes, we want to keep as much as we can there. So with the roof there, like this is them re-insulating and restructuring it, something like doing like some sort of structural engineering. This isn't just like, I realize the immensity of the roof, but like this is a full-blown like almost taking it down to its bones and redoing it, correct?
Well, that's, yeah, that would be an insulation package and a real,
So my thought was with the insulation thing, because we're using like 5% of the total waste heat available, it's kind of like when you have a wood stove at home. If it's too hot, you open up the windows, you can just throw as much wood in there as you want. So with us like being able to heat the building, like are we really worried about how insulated it is? Because we get the heat for basically free.
well, I guess your worship, to answer that question is the fact that us putting lots of heat to that is causing
More melt.
more melt on the roof and then more condensation on the inside of the roof, which in turn becomes water that drips down and wrecks the gyprock and the floors and everything on that side of it. So yes, it is cheap for us to heat, but the downside of that is the damage that's caused by doing it that way.
Gotcha. No, I was just thinking if we could make it just not leak,
But
then we wouldn't have to worry so much about the insulation, that's all.
but then we get that condensation buildup and it causes the moisture. And which in turn becomes mold, which
Yeah,
becomes a bigger problem. So
Okay.
we're still chasing different avenues.
just a thought.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but it's stuff that administration is still chasing to try and get answers on how to do that and come up with a plan. Unfortunately, it's rather tough because the new federal government has not announced what their plan is going forward.
Because they don't have one.
Yes.
Any other questions, Councillor Slater? Thank you, Councillor Slater. Councillor Burrs?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Councillor Paquette?
I think I'm all right.
Okay, Councillor Hanchar, not sure if I care. Just kidding.
I don't, I don't really have anything. The only thing I was gonna ask about was the whether or not we got a response letter about the
COVID money?
yeah, but Cam spoke about that earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, nothing for me, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Just a reminder for keep an eye on your schedule this couple weeks. We have lots of meetings. I don't have anything. Good. Hope everybody had a happy holidays. Councillor open. Go ahead.
Rich Megan, Lauren.
We'll move to gallery open forum, which we only have Michael Prouse. Do you have any comments or questions or anything you'd like to add to our meeting tonight? Thanks for attending.
Nothing from me. Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Thanks, Michael. Okay, with that, motion to adjourn.
Second. Oh,
Counselor Slager, Counselor Burtis, all in favor?
Sure.
Aye.
Carried.
we don't know what we're doing anymore.
Good night, I'm gonna hit record and recording.
Good night. Aloha, Lauren.
Yeah, now you can
See you guys.
Bring me some macadamia nuts.